Hello, everybody. This is Chris and and Haley from podcast called Low Vision Technology. How you doing today, Haley?
I'm doing great. How are you, Chris?
I'm good.
That's
So,
great.
what do you what do you what do you like about doing about the podcast? What's the
I'm sorry, it broke up. What was the question?
what are what is your favorite part about the podcast so far?
Honestly, my most favorite part is just being your co-host. Period. Because I mean, you could have picked because out of a bunch of people, you could have just picked anybody, but you're just like, hey, I think you'll fit well with this, and I totally agree
Yep.
with it. So my favorite part is just doing the podcast with you. Period.
Thank you.
So
And and I came up with the idea for the podcast through a blog I did a few years ago. It was called My Disability Is My Ability, which was talking about my two disabilities I have. That I
right.
have cerebral palsy and low vision. And in today's stream, we'll be discussing different types of low vision technology and how to a good way to use them. And talk about the podcast as well. So
Mm-hmm.
let's get started with talk about the podcast first.
Yes.
You can find the podcast on Spotify. Uh,
What?
I was told you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast,
Anchor.
and also and Anchor. Thank you. And I chose the name of low vision technology because not everyone knows that people who are visually impaired or blind needs these certain technologies and techniques how to get through life and school. And it also helps normal sighted people to learn this because they could help teach the visually impaired or blind person how to use the technology through training.
Yes.
And Haley, what are some examples of technology that you use?
So I use my iPhone with VoiceOver, which is the built-in screen reader on the iPhone,
Hmm.
and I also use my PC Dell laptop, which has JAWS and NVDA on it.
JAWS and NVDA. What are those programs?
So what JAWS is that it's a Windows screen reader. I believe available for Windows, not for Macs or for Apple products. And normally it would cost $900 to $1,000.
Oh
Now, in
gosh.
my case, I have like this thing where you pay like $90 a year for it. And then there's this other screen reader called NVDA. I do not know what it specifically stands for, unfortunately. If I did, I would tell. And that screen reader, it's free, and all you gotta do is just go
Hmm.
on your preferred browser and type in NVDA download or just NVDA, and when it pops up, just download it. And then you can set it up from there. And there's also other screen reader on the computer by default called Narrator, which I believe is a piece of garbage. But that's my opinion about narrator. Some people they might like narrator. I don't, but that's another screen reader.
So to in your opinion, JAWS and NVDA are better than Narrator.
In my opinion, NVDA and JAWS is definitely better than narrator. But price range, narrator comes on the computer already, so that's free. NVDA is free to download, and JAWS you got to pay money for.
Hmm.
So
And you mentioned that you use your phone as your piece of technology. What what within the phone do you use to help you navigate through your phone and through your apps?
So I use the built-in screen reader called VoiceOver. It's in the accessibility settings, and you can set
Mhm.
it up as like with your home button if you have one, or your side button, which is also the lock button. By pressing it 3 times, you just select that option in the settings menu of that section. And there's also this thing called Siri, where you would hold down the lock button or hold down the home button and say what you want to say, and she'll respond. Sometimes Siri doesn't make any sense. Sometimes
No.
she doesn't. Sometimes she does, but sometimes she doesn't. But voiceover can be very adjusted. You can decide what type of language you want. You can decide how fast you want the speech rate to be. And again, it doesn't matter what someone says. You should have it at 80%. If you can't understand it at 80%, that's okay. Just the way you want it to do.
Yep.
I mean, at
And
first for
how would
me, it was at 30%. And then I
well,
increased it to 50, then 70, then 80 to 100, and then I'm back to 80. So that's how that is.
so how would what steps would you tell someone that's first learning how to use it?
When someone's first learning how to use what? It broke up
The
again.
voiceover, the voiceover.
Um, so with first learning the voiceover, you could either learn it from someone from the your phone carrier or the Apple Store where you get the phone or Apple device, or you can go into the settings, into accessibility, then voiceover, and type in voiceover practice, and it will just tell you all the commands, like swipe this way and it'll do this, or it will tell you all the commands there.
So there's like different finger gestures. Is that what you mean by
Yes.
commands?
So, like for instance, with the iPhone, pardon?
I was saying that like with the different gestures, they're your commands.
Yes. Mm,
Give
yes,
some.
that is correct.
What are some examples?
Like for example, with now I'm just gonna compare two different iPhones because one has a home button, one doesn't. Now the ones with the home button, to go to your app switcher where all your running apps are, you would press the
Hmm.
home button twice, and you would take three fingers and swipe up on the current item to close it. Now, to use the app switcher like in the iPhone 10 and above, you have to go put your finger like in the middle on the bottom of the phone where the home button used to be, and just slowly bring your
Hmm.
finger up so like it'll make like pop noises. And once you hear the second pop, it will take you back to your main screen. And then if you hear the third pop, it'll bring up the app switcher, and you just close out the apps like normal with three fingers. Swipe
Oh,
up, three fingers.
okay. So what are some good uses of voiceover?
There's a lot. So, say for example, if you are low vision, but you don't want to bother like blowing up the print or anything, and you just want to like just turn on something just so you know like what you're doing, voiceover could be useful for that. Or if you're completely blind and don't have a sighted person nearby to say, "What's on my screen right now?" the voiceover can tell you. It'll tell you everything that's there. Now, there's some things like you can't do specifically. Like there might be some pop-ups on websites that you can't click on because voiceover doesn't read them. That's just like
Hmm.
an accessibility issue with the specific website. But all of the
Ah,
gestures with voiceover, I would say they're easy to learn, and if they're not easy for you, hey, it doesn't hurt to ask for help. So
that's true. And from my understanding, there's different gestures like one fingers, two fingers, three fingers, and four fingers. Is that correct?
yes, there is. So to open up an item, you would double tap with one finger. To double tap with two fingers, you would play and stop your music, whether it's from the music app or if you're playing a video from somewhere like on YouTube. And a triple tap with two fingers, I believe, takes you to your hang on. Is it okay if
All right.
I do that for a test on my phone just to remember what the heck it does because I don't remember. Hang
Yeah,
on.
that's a good idea. You should go show an example.
Apparently it does nothing. I thought it did. So yeah, I'll show an example with these. So
Okay.
can you guys hear? Can you hear my phone, Chris?
Yes.
Okay. So as like I mentioned before, you would swipe back and forth with one finger to go for the items. And as you can tell, it just says the item. You can have it set to with speak hints to tell you it'll say double tap to open with every single thing. But mine's off because I don't need to hear that.
Ah, okay.
Let's see. And to go through pages, where it says page 1 to 2, you would swipe up with one finger and swipe back down to go back. And let's see, let's just go into a random app. So I double tap with one finger to open the app. And with my phone, in order to go to the app switcher to close out the app, I would go
Mm-hmm.
from the bottom of the power part where the charger goes in. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can hear this, hopefully, you'll hear pop noises like this. It goes boop, boop, like that. So once you do
Ah,
it two
yes.
times, you'll
Mm-hmm.
get out of the app. Now, in order to close it, you have to go three times. And it'll say app switcher. And to close this app right here, you just swipe up with three fingers once, and it'll tell you that the app is closing. And of course, to turn the speech off, not voiceover, but turn the speech off, you tap
Mm-hmm.
twice with three fingers, like that.
And
So
okay.
those are like your basic ones. And of
Ah,
course, if
okay.
you want like another quick way to do voiceover help is to tap I believe once or twice with four fingers, and then no matter what you do, it'll just say like you're swiping left or you're doing like a single finger scrub. It'll tell you exactly what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing. Sometimes it's
Ah, so
helpful,
you,
and sometimes it's not, because sometimes it doesn't tell you what you want it to tell you. Sometimes.
oh, okay. But that'll give you some idea if you're doing something right or if you're doing the right gesture.
Yes. And you can also ask Siri to do things like set a timer for you, set an alarm. With voiceover, for yeah, like with videos, you'll hear the buttons where it says push track, pause, and in order
Mm-hmm.
to use those buttons, just double tap on them to activate the button. And yeah, the rest of it is quite simple from there. Or at least I would hope
And
it would be for
I
most
hope,
likely everybody.
I hope so too. And sticking and staying with the phone, what apps will help a person if they're trying to book a trip or go somewhere and they don't know the directions? Say
You
for
said
example,
what kind of?
what kind of
Oh,
apps will
go
help
ahead.
person?
Sorry.
What kind of apps will help a person if they're trying to book a trip? Let's say to the mall.
That is actually a quite simple question. So you would download like Lyft and Uber, which is on traveling companies, and you
Mm-hmm.
would go through the app and click on the appropriate buttons where it would tell you like schedule a ride or like locate my ride or see how far it is. Rather, that's what it would tell you. So all you would have to do is just download your preferred carrier, so either Uber, Lyft, or anything that you have in your area. And once you make an account, which
Mm-hmm.
you would either put like in your email or phone number, and of course the address that you live at, because that's where they gotta go to pick you up. And then you just type in all the details, point A to point B. And also,
And
and also
mhm.
with those, you can actually do a multiple stop one, I believe, where if once you get to point B and you need like a ride to come back without ordering another one right then and there, you can do that too. I think it'll give you the option.
Okay. And do you know if Uber and Lyft will work with voiceover on the phone?
They absolutely do because I used them all the time.
Okay,
Yep.
that's good to know.
And to pay for them, you have to have
Mm.
like a card or like either like a debit/credit card or a gift card linked to it. And
Well,
after when the
okay.
ride is over, after when the
Hmm.
ride's over, it will
Hmm.
say like, "How did so and so do?" When I say so and so, I mean your driver name. And then you could either tell them like one, 2, 3 hours, whatever it gives you, and then it'll give you the option ahead of time while you're paying, like before the ride click even gets sent to the company to pick you up.
Hmm.
You can either put a tip ahead of time or you can do it afterwards. It's up to you about how do you
Okay.
think? Will the ride go well or will it not? So it's up to you for that one.
Oh, okay. And what apps on your phone can help you with reading?
So to help with reading, there is Read to Go, which is $20 in iTunes card money. Or if you want like a debit card to it, you can. There's also websites you can go to, like Bookshare, and some other ones. And there's also, I believe, there's one called Bards and Mobile. I don't know how that one even
Yes.
works. I just know that it's an audiobook app. And no
Mm.
matter what type of book app you get, they're going to be audiobooks.
Ah, okay.
Either that, or you can read the text with voiceover by like swiping left and right, or swipe up and down to go through pages and stuff.
Ah, okay. So, okay. Say if you're at the grocery store and you
Those are
can't
the types of
see and you
options.
right, okay. Say if you're at the grocery store and you can't see the items that you're looking for, what type of app on your phone would you use to do that?
Those types of apps can be anything really, but one of the ones I have is called Seeing AI,
Hmm.
which I believe is like Seeing Intelligent Agency or something. I don't really know what it stands for, but you can
Artificial
use
intelligence.
that by text or scan the barcodes so you have the full description of what the whole entire thing is. And you would swipe through the options like product, short text, light,
Hmm.
or whatever options. And you can take a picture by clicking the take picture button. Another option you can use in the grocery store is if you have this app called Ira or Be My Eyes. Is it okay if I explain what that is?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, what Be My Eyes is that it's an app that's for free when you download it, and that it is volunteers, meaning it's someone who is willing to take time out of their day to assist you with like visual stuff. So, like, it will not tell you who picks up. You'll just say, "Hi, my name is so and so. Who am I speaking with?" They'll say who they are, and you just explain to them what you need help with. You'll be able to see through your camera lens.
Hmm.
Now, with Ira, it's a paid service, so of course you get the first 5 minutes free, but then after that, your minutes are they're costly. They cost money, unfortunately. So the cheapest option is like $29 a month for 30 minutes.
Hmm.
And with Ira, the agents they're paid, like they get paid for what they do, and they are trained. So like, what some things they can do, Be My Eyes cannot
Hmm.
do because they're not trained to do so. And another thing Ira can do that Be My Eyes cannot do is take pictures for your phone. So if they're trying to look at directions on a microwave meal and they can't
Hmm.
see the print, they'll say, they say yes if you want them to be able to read it to you. So that's what they do.
Okay. And what kind of apps on your phone would you use to have to look up different locations of places?
What kind of what? It broke up again.
Apps,
Sorry.
apps to you that you use to look up different locations of places that you're trying to go to.
So with that, Apple's Map app, where it's like one of the default apps on the phone. There is Google Maps,
Hmm.
and there's also this other app called Blind Square, where it's a GPS app where you can search for places such as like restaurants, recreation centers, and everything. And then they'll give you the options, and you can set your preferences by what you want the distance to be, either meters, centimeters, feet, whatever. And then when you get the directions, then you can walk by walking there. Another
Oh,
thing that
okay.
I forgot to mention that Ira can do is that if you're trying to get somewhere and you're lost, you can call them and
Mhm.
explain to them that you're trying to get to a certain place. They'll pull up a map on their end and they'll see where you are and they'll tell you where to go. Now, of course, when you're crossing streets, they'll say
Mhm.
you're coming up to a street crossing. I will be quiet while you cross because I think there's a rule where they say they cannot talk to you while you're crossing the street.
Ah, that's a good rule for them to have.
That's yeah,
Yes,
which
that's a good.
which makes total sense.
Yes, it does. Now, going going from your phone to your laptop, how would you use JAWS or NVDA to locate different documents or do internet searches?
So, and actually, JAWS and NVDA they work quite similar. So I'll just say with
Hmm.
either. So with either, whichever one you're using, you would go to your preferred browser, which is either Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer on the PC, or on the Mac you have Safari or Google
Hmm.
Chrome, depends on which browser you have. You go in there it'll automatically give you the address bar where you just type in the site or just type in your keywords. And then while you're navigating the page, you'll have shortcuts like pressing the letter H for headings. So it will say like the name of the heading, it'll say heading level 1 or number 2, whatever. And then once you get to the heading you're looking for, you just use the up and down arrows. And of course, if they're links, you press enter on one of the links to use. That's if you're searching on a browser, and this is for any browser. Now, for documents, you could save them to your desktop, you could save them to your documents section. Doesn't matter, as long as you know where they are. And if you don't remember where you saved it, that's fine. Just go into your search box in your start menu, type in the name of the document, and it will pop right up. Or it should, at least. That
So,
happens to me all the time. I'm like, where the heck did I even save this?
oh man,
So, hey,
that's not good.
it happens to everybody.
Ah, so do each program have different shortcut commands, or they similar?
um, so most with most with the programs, you press enter to open
Hmm.
one, and of course you get to what you need to go to by press enter by opening up the item. And always remember this: no matter what you do, if you're working on a document or something, you always save your changes by doing Control S. Because if you don't, you'll say, "Where the heck did my changes go?" They were never saved.
Right.
So you would do Control S on the PC, or I think it's Option S or Command S on the Mac, and then you just do Command 4 on the Mac and Alt F4 on the PC to close something.
And can some
Another
can
different thing I forgot.
I was gonna say, can someone find these shortcut commands on the computer itself?
Yeah. So there's always a help section
Hmm.
in your computer, and I guess I think the commands are different for like each device or how it's set up.
Hmm.
But I would just type in like the word help in the search box when I'm using JAWS, just to see like if I don't remember like a specific command, and they normally pop up. With
Hmm.
NVDA, it usually gives me like the help submenu towards the at the bottom. So
Ah, okay.
it just depends how it's set up for your preferred screen reader.
So, what are advantages and disadvantages of NVDA and JAWS? The, so to help someone determine which one they want
The
to have,
advantage slash disadvantage.
because to help to determine which one somebody wants on their computer.
Oh yeah. So for one thing, the advantage slash disadvantage of NVDA and JAWS is NVDA is free, JAWS is not. So if you want to go the cheap route, not pay anything, look at
Hmm.
NVDA, which is totally fine by me. Again, it just depends on which one you want to use.
Hmm.
And also, again, like I mentioned before, the commands, or at least the majority of them, they work the same.
Hmm.
So it's not really depending on like, oh well, does this command Windows M work better with JAWS or NVDA? It does the same thing. It takes you to the desktop. So again,
No.
it's a person's personal preference.
Hmm. So the only thing different with the two programs is the different keys, correct? Like the command keys.
Yeah, with certain like yeah. So like say for instance with what is it? So like of course turning on JAWS, you would type in the Windows key to go to the search bar and press the letter J, and JAWS would be the
Hmm.
first thing to pop up when you open it that way. And with NVDA, you would do Alt Control N. Yeah,
Yep.
Alt
Hmm.
Control N. That's what it is.
Hmm.
And then of
Yep.
course you would do specific steps to shut NVDA off, which is you would go through insert N, which is either your caps lock key or your num-lock key, off with a zero key on the numpad. Unfortunately, it does not work with the zero key on the number row, which I think is stupid. That's what that
Very.
is. You would you would do insert N. You would press. Uh, you would go to the menu where it would tell you the sub menu where it says exit, and it was like, "Are you sure
Hmm.
you want to exit NVDA?" And then you just tab over to OK, press enter, and then it shuts off.
And,
So
and so can
a
someone
lot of it, it's quite easy to figure out.
okay. So within that program, can someone
Supposedly.
change
Yeah.
can can someone change the keys if they wanted to? within the programs?
They can change it to change like their insert key from like zero to caps lock or vice versa, or change like the layout to desktop to laptop mode.
Mm-hmm.
But like changing to like how to shut off NVDA, I don't think you can change that command. Or
Ah.
shutting off JAWS, I don't think you can change that either. So there's like certain things where you can like customize it to your own choosing, but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's some things that you can't. Sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's annoying. So it just depends on you.
Okay. If you're in a, if you mentioned working in a Word document earlier. Can those commands are similar or the same for working with Word versus the internet?
What about a Word document? I'm sorry.
If you're in a Word document, do the commands work the same or are they different from being on the internet?
Oh no, it's pretty. It, I guys, I'm just want to let you know ahead right now. My internet stinks, so that's the reason why if I'm asking Chris multiple times to repeat anything, it's because my internet's cutting out. So, which
Jesus.
that cannot be helped. No, it really can't. Not by my control.
Oh, I
So
know.
you said between going on the internet and a
And
Microsoft document, and then what?
are the commands the same, different? How does that work?
So okay, so as I mentioned before, with when you're on the internet, you know how when you press H for headings, B for buttons, or anything like that.
Hmm.
You can do that in a Microsoft Word document when you have quick keys on by doing your insert key and the letter Z. And once that's on, you're not typing anything. Whatever letter you press, you're navigating the document like it's a book. Like if it says like heading level 1, chapter 1,
Hmm.
or if it's like a web page setup, that's what would happen. If your quick keys are off and you're trying to read a book by doing it
Hmm.
quickly, you're just accidentally typing in the document. So you just gotta make
Ah,
sure that you turn the quick keys on by doing insert Z. And of course turn it off too when you're done, in order for you to
does
type
it
again. So
does that same command cuts it off too?
yes, it'll say quick keys on and then quick keys off. Yes. It's like a toggle switch.
Ah, so what do you? How do you? How do you prefer to have your setup on your laptop, like on your laptop, when it comes to your keys, like your
So,
shortcut
of
keys?
course, I have the insert Z. Yeah, I have like the insert Z thing. I honestly don't remember if that was default or not. It probably was, which is fine by me. A lot of stuff I
Hmm.
keep as default. Of course, the only thing I changed was like the layout to from laptop to desktop, so I can use like the insert key as my
Hmm.
the caps lock key as my insert, and not the zero key, because it's just
Hmm.
easier to reach for.
Right.
And that's really about it. I didn't really change that much, or at least that I can think about.
Ah,
But
okay.
again, you could always adjust your settings the way that you want to. So, and that also includes the speech rate of your screen reader, which I also fixed to like 65%.
Hmm.
So,
So what advice do you give somebody when they get their first laptop and they're trying to set it up to what they desire to have on it?
so the first thing I would suggest is ask someone excited to help you either download NVDA or turn on narrator for the time being, and
Hmm.
then and the best way is just to explore the computer. Is it okay if you accidentally do a command? Yes, yes it is. Because you're trying to figure out what things do. Sometimes it's the best way to do that because sometimes computer manuals they're just too complicated.
Yeah, this is true.
Oh, and also some other basic commands for
Hmm.
a PC and a Mac is copy, cut, and paste and print. So with now just remember with a PC it would always be control and the letter. And with Mac it would be command, which is right next to the space bar like the alt key.
Ah,
So it
okay.
would be command in the letter, I believe. If not, it's then it's option in the letter. I'm not a Mac user, so I'm not the best at explaining that part. But with the
Hmm.
Windows, if you do Control C, you copy. Control V, you paste. Control everything that's in the document.
Hmm.
Control P, you print. And of course, there's other ones like turning on the italic sign, bold, bullet putting like the bullet color on a specific text. But in order
Like a
to like
list.
bullet or highlight a specific section of a
Hmm.
text,
Hmm.
then you would have to do like shift and your arrows. And once it says select it, you would do Control C to copy it, Control X to cut it, or Control U to underline it, or stuff like that. So
How would you? Okay, speaking of
now
that,
make
how?
sure you select the text before you do anything. So
Right, because it won't work if you don't. So what? If,
nothing will
so
happen if you don't select the text by doing shift and the arrows.
right, right. Okay, say if you're on the internet and you need to put a link into your document, how would you do that?
So if you need to put a link inside the address bar, instead of just typing it https/www dot whatever,
Hmm.
if you're able to retrieve the link from somebody else or previously used it before, you could just do shift down arrow to select it, press Control C to copy to the clipboard, and once you're in the address bar, press Control V, and which is pasting it, and then that's it, and just enter a search for it.
Ah, but what if you have to attach it to
Or
an?
if you honestly don't have the link copied, then just
Mhm.
type in.
What if you have to attach it to a Word document for like a research paper?
If you have to put it inside like a Word document or anything, it's still the
Hmm.
same thing. Once it's copied, you just go into the document, go in the document where you need to be, the bottom, the middle of the page, whatever, and once it's in the right place, you Control V, and it'll be
Hmm.
right there.
Ah, that is simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other
Again,
any
once you
other
practice it with it.
mhm. Any other advice or tips you have for people?
Again, no matter what type of computer you use, it requires patience. Don't take your fist and slam on your computer going, I should never have bought this computer. No. No. It takes time. It might be frustrating where you might want to throw the computer out the window, but
Hmm.
don't. Don't do it because you'll regret it quite quickly. Because computers are not cheap.
Not
NVIDIA
at
is
all.
cheap, but computers are not cheap.
And speaking of computers, do you know if you can order a laptop from a company with Zoom text or with Zoom text, JAWS, or NVDA built in?
According to my knowledge, there isn't. You have to like search to download NVDA, but Narrator is built into the computer.
Ah,
For a PC Dell. For Macs, the
mhm.
voiceover is built in.
Okay. So is that the
Hmm.
same kind of voiceover that's on the phone, or is it different?
It's practically the same. It has like the same voices and stuff. There's just some
Mm.
features that you can do on the Mac that you can't do with the phone or the iPad. And I don't really know what
Ah,
those are because I don't use a Mac.
got you. So
Yeah,
as
I
far
don't want
as
to say I know something, but I don't use it. So
yeah, you don't want to give false information. I understand that.
no, thank you.
So basically, it really doesn't matter what kind of PC laptop you have. They all work. They all work the same, depending on what it is.
Yes, that is correct. So
So
again, does an HP work the same as a Dell? I don't know because I never used an HP computer. So
hmm
most likely they would work the same. I think they do, but a Mac
hmm
does not work the same as a Windows computer. It's totally different.
Alrighty, alrighty. That about does it for this stream. Thank you for being on the stream, Haley. And where can people reach you
Thank
if they
you.
want to? Where can people reach you if they want to ask questions,
So
or
the
get advice or anything?
yeah, of course. So if you guys would like to reach me, you can write a comment to me on one of my YouTube videos, which is talented H period V. If you have like suggestions of song covers, songs for me to write about, topics for a couple of my friends and I to talk about, you can either put them in the comment section of one of the videos, or you can email me at HALEY as in boy OP as in popsicle 1818 at gmail.com. That's just my email. And also, you could follow me on Twitter at talented H_V. And also, if you want to contact me on Messenger, it's HALEY space bop. Very specifically, capital B as in boy, O, P as in popsicle, because people think I'm saying Bob instead of Bop. I don't really know why. And then the last name, it's capital VALENTE, Valenti, or Valente, however you choose to pronounce. So, again, you can contact me on Messenger, Twitter, my YouTube videos by writing comments and stuff. Don't worry, I'll look at them. I look at my comments constantly.
Yep.
And my
She
email.
definitely does.
Again, you can use those to suggest song ideas and stuff like that. Song ideas for me to write about, song cover suggestions, which people are doing, thank goodness, because I'm going to run out. And if you have topics for us for general topics, which is another segment, then you guys can do that too. So, you have some options.
Or if you also have topics or ideas for the stream or a podcast for the low vision technology, you can leave them in the comment section of the YouTube page, which is Low Vision Technology, or you can and subscribe to the podcast, which is also Low Vision Technology. You can also hit find me on Twitter at Big Time 28. Um, I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you for joining us and have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.